I know, a different angle in my room. That's so weird. I'm just gonna be real with you guys. I have been wanting to make this video for so long. I just didn't think that anyone cared. But recently I have been getting a lot of questions from you guys on Twitter, Instagram, and that's it. Questions about screenwriting, since you guys know that I've been doing this for years, so I thought that I'd answer some questions for you guys. Here's a disclaimer before we start. I'm not claiming that I know everything. I'm not claiming that I'm perfect at everything that I do in screenwriting and storytelling, but I think that I do have a lot of tips and tricks for you guys and a lot of information I would like to pass on to you if you're interested in screenwriting or filmmaking, and hopefully this video helps you and hopefully you learn something from this. So I have a lot of questions that I usually get, and I'm gonna answer them as best as I can. Alright, first question. How long does it take to write a screenplay? This question is really hard to answer. I promise all these questions are not gonna be like, it depends, or like, whatever you want. Like, I promise. But this one, it kind of does depend on a lot of things. I've written like a 15-page short film in like a day. I've written 10-page short films in 2 weeks. Like, it really depends on what you're working with. Sometimes you have a deadline, and sometimes you're working with someone, and then so it takes longer because you guys have to work back and forth or whatever. I've been working on a feature film for like 2 years that we just finished like a couple weeks ago. So like, it depends on a lot of things. Is it a feature film? Is it a short film? Is it an episode? It just depends on a lot of things. I think the general rule is if you can, write at least 10 pages a day. You'll obviously finish your screenplay way faster than if you didn't do that. So, but again, it's up to your pacing. You don't want to rush it, but you also don't want to spend too much time on it because eventually you have to let it go. Okay, next question. What do I start with, structure or scenes? I personally have to start with structure. I have to know exactly where my story is going, how the first act is gonna end, how we lead into the second act, how, you know, like even like the opening scene, like I have to know exactly what's going on before I even open up final draft. But again, everyone is different. Just like Judd Apatow, he loves to come up with an idea, obviously, and then he comes up with scene ideas, which he writes down on little index cards, right? And then he puts them all out in front of him on his desk, and then he just rearranges them in the order he wants it to go. And then from there, he fills it in and makes his movie. You can actually even do both. You can have a scene idea in your head and then think, oh, that's a good way to open up the third act, or that's a good way to introduce this character. Next question, how do I know when it's ready? This is something I wish I learned a very long time ago, and I don't mean this in a negative way. Your script will never be ready. There will always be something you want to change in your script. Even if the movie is done, it's in theaters, and you're like sitting there watching your own movie, you'll be thinking like, wow, that line sucked so bad, I could have written this. You know what I mean? There's always going to be something you want to tweak. I'm not saying that all the time, because maybe you finish your script and you're like, wow, this is the most perfect thing ever written in life. And it could be, but generally there's always going to be something you'll want to fix or work on. I think that's why a lot of people aren't successful, because they spend way too long trying to make it perfect when in reality, you can do that forever. And then people just end up not letting go of their script. I'm not saying that you'll never be happy with your script. I think the best thing to do is find the sweet spot. You'll know when your script is ready. So just be confident in it. Just be confident in your story. Be like, this is exactly where I wanted it to end up. The characters are perfect. There's all the payoff that I wanted in my story. There's all the character development. Just everything that you want is in your story. And you'll just know that it's ready. But be confident in it. That's everyone's problem, is that they're not confident in their screenwriting, which is normal, you know, for beginners, because you're just nervous, I guess. I don't know. I just remember I started writing when I was 15. And then I wrote a pilot, a 50-page pilot for a show that I created. First of all, it took me so long to develop the show. Like, I had a whole Bible, I had very detailed character breakdowns, episode breakdowns for like this season. Like, I just had like everything ready and I wrote a 50-page pilot. All of that took me literally like 2 years. Not because it took forever to do, but because I kept going back and fixing things and like little things. Like, I just couldn't let it go. So one day I thought, okay, like, it's done, there's no more I can do, and I finally showed my friends because I was really nervous and they were the only people I felt comfortable showing. And they were like, wow, this is really great. And then I ended up making short films with my best friend for a very long time. But it's funny because no one knew that I liked to write. Like, that was like my secret. I think I felt like nervous to tell people because just in case I was bad, you know? Turns out I was really bad, and but I learned. It's just getting comfortable with your work and being confident in your scripts. And that's what's really, really hard. Next question, what do you do when you finish your screenplay? The hardest part is getting your scripts out there. That doesn't mean that it's impossible. There are a lot of things that you can do to get your script out there and your film made. You can upload it to the blacklist. I think that's still a thing. That's what I used to do. I think you have to pay for your script to be up there. I'm not sure how much it is now, but you put it up there for industry professionals to read, and then they give their critiques and then they rate it, and it's like this whole thing. But you never know who's on there and they could possibly want your script. You can also find local directors or producers, people that you think would be interested in your script. Just get it out there to as many people as possible. Also, you could try to fund it yourself. You could make a GoFundMe. You and your friends could make it yourselves with your iPhones even. Like, literally all you need is like a camera, editing, good audio. Upload it to YouTube and just get it seen. Just get your work seen and get your work out there. I think the best thing to do is figure out a way to get it made. There's always a way, and you just have to make it work. That's the number one thing that I learned on set is shit happens and you just have to make it work. I also think that a huge thing is learning to be patient. This industry and this job especially is very discouraging. I think you just really have to love what you do and be passionate and just keep working and keep learning as much as possible. All right, next question. How much will the screenplay change during filming? I'm trying to think of a time we filmed and I didn't change something in the script. I don't think that's ever happened. I think that scripts change all the time during filming. It doesn't mean your whole story and your plot and whatever, like not the whole script, you know, like that's not gonna change. I think that during filming there's gonna be a couple times where you're in Video Village watching everything on the monitor thinking, that line sucks and I hate it. And then you change it and it's not a big deal. I think the worst thing is like a location change and then you have to kind of rewrite that whole scene really quickly, or I don't know, if something happens to one of the actors then you have to change a piece of dialogue or action line or something just to accommodate. And like I said, it's not going to ruin your film. It's just something that happens all the time. Especially if you have a really great script supervisor on set. They'll read your script beforehand and then let you know like, oh, this line doesn't match up with what they said earlier. They'll find like all the continuity flaws and things that you didn't notice before. Next question, how to get started? I think you have to just start doing it. Just start writing something. Even if it's in your notes on your phone, just start writing something. It's kind of like going to the gym. Like if you want to start, you have to just go to the gym. You know what I mean? I think it's really nice to have a creative space. Find a place where you're comfortable working. I think it was David Mamet that said that, where it's nice to have a place where you can just sit and then your mind is automatically like, okay, it's time to write. And then you're like in writer's mode and creative mode. You just have to find what works for you, what gets you in the creative mood. Some people like to listen to music. I personally have to sit in silence. Like I can't have anything, like nothing going on around me because I will be distracted. You can practice by watching your favorite TV shows and pull up the script for it and just read along while you're watching. If you don't know how to write a scene out or if you don't know how to describe something in an action line, there's a lot of things you can do. I think this job is a lot of practice makes perfect. Like that's just it. Is it worth taking a screenwriting course? I'm very passionate about this question. I just don't think that you need to. I don't think that it's necessary unless you have the money and the time and the resources. Then if you want to go ahead, that's fine. I know that you can learn a lot through film classes and it's not like a don't do it kind of thing, but I'm just saying if you can't afford it, you'll be okay. I personally learned everywhere that I could. I've watched like every screenwriting YouTube video. I've taken like a bunch of master classes. I've watched other films, TV shows. You can even take your favorite episode from your favorite TV show and spend the time to break it down and figure out how did the character get here and what drove the character to do this and stuff like that. So I think you should just take advantage of your resources and your tools. Just like right now, you're watching this video, you could literally open up a new tab and look up Steven Spielberg's advice for storytelling, or how Aaron Sorkin wrote The West Wing, because you learn a lot. You can learn something from everyone. A really good thing is to watch interviews from other writers, like writers you've never even heard of, like writers you have no idea like who they are. I think that everyone is valuable in some way, so take advantage of it. If you do want to take classes, I really do recommend Masterclass. They have really great classes. I literally love them so much. Shonda Rhimes is really great with like pitching and meetings and story structure. Like, she's so good with the whole business side of it and the technical side of it. David Mamet is really good with drama and storytelling and building suspense and keeping the audience engaged. My favorite class was Aaron Sorkin's. He's so good with like story structure and dialogue. Like, wow, his dialogue is so good. He said something that really stuck with me, that was, dialogue is like music. It has to flow, it has to sound natural, but also every line has a purpose. You don't want dialogue that's like, oh hey, how's it going? Oh, it's fine. Like, how are you? You know, you want something that's like, well, John, I heard what you said the other day. Well, what do you think that I said the other day? Interesting that you're acting so coy. Or something like that. Something spicy. You know, that it's like more interesting than just a common conversation, which a lot of writers do. I used to do that a lot. But again, you learn from everyone. Even R.L. Stine, like, he writes books, right? But I watched his masterclass because I thought I could learn something from him creatively, and I did. He literally said that sometimes it's easier to write a story when you know the ending first. So it's kind of like, and the goblin is actually their dog, or something, right? And then he thinks like, what do these kids have to go through to realize that their goblin is actually their dog? And I think that's really great for people that have a story idea, but they're not sure like how to get there. I think the biggest thing too is people don't know the ending of their story. People have an idea like, oh, it'd be cool if this happened, but then they don't know the ending or the resolution, which is really hard. That I think is the hardest part of telling a story, is figuring out how it ends. But anyways, what am I talking about? What was the question? Oh yeah. I think you should learn everywhere that you can. There are great people to follow online, like Script to Screen, which is an Instagram account, or Lessons from the Screenplay, which is a YouTube account. There are a lot of people online that can break down film and movies and stories, and then it really makes you think and appreciate them a little bit more, and they make you more aware of what you're writing. I think you're gonna learn a lot through trial and error. Like, literally read some of your, if you've already been writing, read something you already wrote a long time ago. You're gonna notice that you're so much better than you were back then. Just because the more you practice, the more you learn. Like, I remember that my first film that we did, granted we were rushed, like we literally were writing it while they were filming it, but I can't watch it because I'm like, what the fuck did I write? Like, why did I write that? It's so bad. You learn, you know? That's just what it is. You learn through trial and error, and you just gotta do it. Next question, do you outline before you start writing? I cannot stress this enough. Please outline before you start writing. Please. You have to know where your story is going. Outline everything, the story, the characters, break down the 3 acts, figure out what's gonna open up your second act and what event begins at the 3rd act. You know what I mean? Like, you have to know what happens every beat of your story. That way the pacing will be really good, and it's easier to write because you'll know exactly when something is gonna happen. What I do is I have like pages of the story outline, even scene ideas, right? And then on a separate page, I start writing it like a book, just so I know what the pacing is gonna be like. Then, once that's done, I start actually scripting. And then after that, you can fix whatever you want. I just think that you have to know the story like the back of your hand before you even open up Final Draft. That being said, there are a few people out there that are like crazy or superhuman. I have no idea. I just don't understand how they can do that. They could just have nothing in their head and then they just start writing and scripting and they just have a script and it's great. I can't do that. I am not talented enough. I have to know exactly what's going on before I get into it. Just because I need to know what the character's really going through, what they're feeling at a certain time, and just have really good payoffs throughout the film. Next question. Where to find inspiration? Literally anywhere and everywhere. If you're going to the gas station, Look at the person next to you. What do they look like? Just imagine their life, right? Just based on what they look like. Just imagine their life. Come up with their life story. Why are they at the gas station in the middle of the night? Why haven't I seen them before? Do they live here? He's wearing flip-flops and it's 30 degrees out. What's his deal? Do you know what I mean? Like, anywhere. Listen to people's stories. People love to talk about themselves, literally. Just listen to people's stories and get inspiration. Doesn't mean you have to steal their life story because you'll probably get sued. But get inspiration and just absorb as much as you can. Just be open-minded. That's a huge thing, is be open-minded and just try to learn as much as possible. Like, even things you're not even interested in. Because you could hear something that's like, oh, that's kind of cool, or oh, I never thought about that. And then, boom, you have a character, or you have a plot, you know? It's always nice to work with someone that you trust, someone you feel comfortable with, someone that won't judge you and you won't judge them. It's really nice working with someone. I remember when I was writing, I was really, really afraid, because I always wanted to be a staff writer. Like, I always wanted to be in a writer's room. And my biggest thing was, I'm afraid that I'm not going to be able to work with people because I'm a control freak, which a lot of screenwriters are. So I was always afraid to work with people, but you know, I tried working with some people and it was fine, but there was never like that connection. Now I work with my director. We've been writing for years. I really trust him. He's really creative. He trusts me, and it's just really nice. So he's really creative with ideas. I'm really good with like making a story and making it make sense. So we just bounce off of each other back and forth until we come up with something really fun and something that we love. And let me just tell you, you have to love what you're working on, because you're going to be working on it for a really long time, okay? And it would suck if you're working on a story that you hate or you don't understand, or you know what I mean? Do you want to know a secret? I don't know if I'm ready to share my secret. Okay, I'll share my secret. I come up with my best ideas. Don't laugh, this is serious. I come up with my best ideas when I'm about to fall asleep. Like, you know when you're about to fall asleep, like you're about to like really go there and your mind is like thinking of random shit. That's where I come up with my best ideas. But don't be lazy. You have to write it down, because I promise you, if you think like, oh, I'll remember it in the morning, you won't. I am so mad at all the times past me was too lazy to write something down, because I had really good ideas and I just don't remember them. Ooh, last question. One piece of advice for screenwriters starting out. I think the number one thing is to just do it. Just do it, don't give up. If you really put in work and you're passionate about it, things will work out, I promise. The hardest thing is letting your script go. So just be confident in your work and let it go. She wants to leave the nest. She wants to be seen. Let her be a star. Let someone film her. That's not coming out, right? Just let her go. I just remember when I let my friends read my script, I literally felt naked. Like I literally, first of all, I couldn't even be with them while they were reading my script. I was like, I'm gonna hide. And I just sat in the other room just like, just felt so vulnerable and weird. Like, and it was the scariest thing ever. You'll get used to it and eventually you'll want people to read your script. I'm so serious about this, guys. Be patient. A lot of the time you're gonna feel discouraged. You're gonna feel like, well, nothing's happening. No one wants to read my stuff. I haven't made a film. I can't even finish my script. And that's okay to feel that way. It's normal. Writing isn't easy. That being said, if you're sitting in your room at your computer miserable, then this probably isn't for you. You probably want to be out there and, you know, in the sunlight, you know, with other people. And this is not your jam, dude. This is not it for you. This is supposed to be fun and you're supposed to love what you do. I think it was Stephen King that said, don't be that tortured artist. Don't be that person that's like, oh, I'm miserable and depressed because I'm creative, and you know, like, don't. Please. Just make sure you're having a good time, because you're gonna be dedicating a lot of your life to it. And love what you're writing. Love the story, love the characters. There's just a lot that goes into it, and this is like barely breaking the surface. And honestly, you may try this and think this isn't for me, but you still love film, and then maybe you're meant to be a script supervisor, or maybe you're meant to be a director or something, you know what I mean? I'm just saying that because when I was into film, I wanted to be a director. In my mind, I was like, I want to tell the story, and I want to just entertain people and be creative and whatever, right? I learned that I cannot direct for shit. Like, I don't get it. I don't like, it's just like, get it, but it's just not my thing. What I really wanted to do was tell stories, entertain people. And that's when I found out that I actually wanted to be a screenwriter. And it's so easy to me. I say this all the time, like, screenwriting is literally the only thing in my life that I understand completely. But anyways, good luck to you guys. I hope I helped. I'm really trying to. I think because I spent years learning about this, like, nonstop, like every day I'm learning something about screenwriting or practicing or whatever. I just think, like, why not teach you guys, you know? There's a lot of valuable information up here that I think would be useful to you. So if you guys want to hear more about screenwriting or want me to get in depth with character development, character arcs, storytelling, breaking down acts, making a Bible, anything you guys want to know, comment down below and I will go more in depth if you want. If you don't want, then wait for my next video. That's not about screenwriting. And I hope you enjoy that one. Alright, you guys, I'm gonna go. I love you guys. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. I hope I helped you guys. And comment down below what your favorite piece of advice was that you heard from me today. Or ask a question and I'll answer it. I love you guys. Subscribe. Goodbye. Thumbs up this video. Okay, goodbye.